Anxiety is a normal part of the human experience. It's not out of the ordinary for individuals to experience feelings of nervousness, worry, or apprehension. People diagnosed with anxiety disorders, on the other hand, often experience intense, excessive, and persistent fear and worry. It leads to an interference with daily activities, disruption of thought processes, and alters physiological functioning. According to the DSM-5, anxiety is defined as the anticipation of future threats. Anxiety is considered to be the most prevalent or most common mental illness. There are many different subtypes of anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder considered to be the most common. It is characterized by excessive and persistent worry and anxiety about activities or other events disproportionate to the issue at hand. Another well-known anxiety disorder is panic disorder, which involves repetitive episodes of sudden intense anxiety and fear, also known as panic attacks. Panic attacks have been described to feel similarly to heart attacks. Social anxiety disorder, or social phobia, includes high levels of anxiety, fear, and avoidance of social situations. These are just some of the many types of anxiety. Along with these subtypes of the disorder, there are many different signs and symptoms of anxiety, whether physical or psychological. Oftentimes, it is easy for people to identify the physical symptoms because they are more obvious. An increased heart rate with palpitations, hyperventilation or rapid breathing, sweating, trembling, or shaking. These are all telltale signs of someone who is feeling anxious. There are other physiological symptoms like feeling weak or tired, having difficulty sleeping, nausea, and or gastrointestinal issues. Although these signs and symptoms may be more quickly associated with anxiety, the psychological symptoms are just as significant. Excessive worry about specific situation is the main psychological symptom. Levels of worry may not logically be equal to the particular situation, and individuals may not be able to control this worry. Some may even have a sense of impending danger or doom, resulting in panic. Feelings of nervousness, restlessness, irritation, or tension are also very common, often leading to the urge to avoid things or situations that will bring out anxious feelings. The anxiety can feel so overwhelming and distracting that people have trouble concentrating or thinking about anything other than the present worry. Like the many signs and symptoms of anxiety, there are also many causes of anxiety. A common cause are negative or difficult life experiences such as traumatic events, abuse, or loss. Any circumstances or situations that are potentially connected to these experiences will often lead to feelings of anxiety. Overall stress is a common causation of anxiety for people. Others may develop anxiety as a result of stress due to an illness. People may worry excessively about the illness that they have or once had. If someone does have an underlying health issue like heart disease or diabetes, it is natural for them to feel anxious about their health. Similarly, other mental health disorders such as depression may have symptoms of anxiety along with the disorder. People who may use substances such as drugs or alcohol may also experience side effects of anxiety. Another cause of anxiety could be inherited traits, if an individual has family members with diagnosed anxiety. A person may also be more prone to anxiety depending on the personality type. Now that we have established what anxiety is, what it may look like, and the different causes, now we can explore its prevalence, focusing on those within the United States. About 1/3 of U.S. adolescents and adults experience an anxiety disorder at some point in their lives. Nearly 1 in 5 adults in the United States live with mental illness, 57.8 million in 2021. Women are 60% more likely to experience an anxiety disorder than men, and adolescents to younger adults experience anxiety 40% more often than older adults. When it comes to treatment, there are different paths that someone can choose, therapy and medication being popular options. However, physical activity and exercise are severely overlooked. Both have been shown to positively impact anxiety symptoms and disorders if performed on a regular basis. A meta-analysis consisting of over 80,000 participants found that physical activity leads to lower chances of increased anxiety symptoms and anxiety disorders. Aerobic and resistant exercises in particular have been associated with anxiety improvements. A single instance of aerobic fitness can temporarily reduce anxiety symptoms for a few hours, up to one day. Typically, positive effects of physical activity on anxiety symptoms will arise 5 minutes after exercise and last around 2 hours. Anaerobic exercise, such as bodybuilding, may also result in similar effects, however, the benefits are not immediately apparent. A few hours after anaerobic exercise, the improvement of anxiety symptoms is observed. Although exercise and physical activity may have many benefits when it comes to anxiety, individuals must also be aware of the risks. There's a possibility of excessively exercising and overtraining, which would only lead to more harm than good. Anxiety is very prevalent in my own life. However, I didn't actually start learning about it until a couple of years ago. Growing up, all I knew about anxiety was from what I heard or observed from people around me, from family members to close friends. But I never really understood what any of it meant until I started to experience anxiety for myself. I've always been more of an introvert, but after COVID hit and quarantine happened, my anxiousness involving people really became obvious once I returned to school in person. Now I am continuing to learn about my anxiety through therapy and trying different coping techniques. As a former athlete who did competitive gymnastics for about 12 years, exercise was always a part of my life. Since retiring around 3 years ago, my physical activity levels have drastically depleted. Now my goal is to make more time to be more active, knowing it will help me with my anxiety.